he was very aware of what was happening in Europe in the 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s, and he sort of picked up then in the 50s and was trying it out, trying each one of those different styles on for size to see what fit him, to see what he liked.
The thing that impresses me the most, it starts out, the very earliest pieces are very Matisse-like. He started out painting in oils, then he went to gouache, then he painted acrylics. He did a lot of figurative things, and they're all nice. He did a lot of landscapes, and they're well done. He has a broad variety of work, but you can always tell who did it.
He was able to sort of leave one idea and move into another idea, not get stuck somewhere as a painter. So yeah, I admire the whole idea of moving forward and then being able to break away and try these different things, not being stuck in a place. That guy was not stuck, for sure. His work demonstrates how much he just wanted to keep moving forward as a painter.
I would say that you really see certain hallmarks, which is a love of color and a love of flatness, which comes out, I think, again, from Matisse. It's a very sort of Matissean quality. His love of outline, of a strong outline, which kind of is a reminiscent of stained glass windows. And then very late in his work, you see this interest in abstraction. Paper surface, the picture surface, completely covered with dabs and brushes and squiggles of paint, which he then somehow teases out a suggestion of a figure.
It's what you don't put down, right? It's sort of where you finish, what you leave. And he had that too. You know, he'd leave a lot of ground, he'd leave a lot of space.
And everything he did has that, it's just enough. I don't think he ever overworked anything.
His work mines all kinds of different versions of modernist art. Art that sort of straddles that line between being recognizable and not being recognizable.
These head drawings, these head paintings he did that were these sort of geometric shapes of human heads, which isn't even close to reality.
Yeah, every time we look at the painting, we see something a little different that we hadn't seen before. A little speck of color here, a little squiggle over here.
I think people respond to the human, the very human quality of Paul's work, whether it's something joyous happening or whether it's something pensive, something that sort of takes you into another realm, an area of thoughtfulness. And I think there's an accessibility about Paul's work that's very appealing to many people. At the same time, it feels modern.
I think his style is very, very, very informed by European modernism, far more than by American modernism.
Paul really doesn't come to pure abstraction until the very end of his life in the 1980s. And it's a really interesting phenomenon, though, that even in Paul's most abstract works, there is still usually the title or something that he picks out in the work of art that connects it to the human story, the human drama, a mother and child, a person, a religious figure.
As he collected faces, he collected life stories and was able to portray that with just a great economy of brushwork.
You know, when you look at them, there's not a lot going on in the eyes. Sometimes you have to read into it something about the people, and I like that because some of them are just mysteries, but that makes you dig into the piece a little more visually.
They're interesting to look at. They engage you without assaulting you or without making you feel too uncomfortable. And, you know, that's something I think that appeals to many people.
So as a painter, I know the difficulty in making good renderings and what goes into it and how much thought goes into it and how much measuring goes into it. If I'm drawing your face, I need to lay down points on my paper to sort of get an idea of that. But for somebody to put a pencil down and slide it around and pull that off, it's pretty extraordinary.
And he goes so far abstract that, you know, it's a head or a portrait or something like that. He really got into this almost fractal or geometric little tiny marks. His way of applying the paint was very different in those. The greater degree of abstraction appeared as he matured as an artist, as he got older.
After he came to the United States, after he married Erica, I think his world started getting smaller and smaller. His paintings reflect that, because he became more and more abstract in his art. And I believe he developed this huge inner world of a vast imagination of colors and forms and ideas that filled that need that he had. You know, he did paint some scenes from memory from his years in Haiti and Peru and other places. I believe that his real development occurred when he was all alone and his whole world was in his mind.
Not by just reading about other places, although he did that, but by painting his memories of all the different places he went. In Europe, in the former Yugoslavia, in North Africa, in Spain, in Italy, in France, and also very much in Haiti and in Peru. I think he just was living in his head by reimagining all these places that he knew and loved.
When you see his work, because he's so good, you know where it is. You know it's Eastern Europe, you know it's Paris, you can see the bridges, you can see the towers. And the Haitian paintings that he did, you know, they're much more scattered, they're really more light-filled, and I guess you get a sense of the different places, but I don't think that he painted them any differently. I think he observed, and in Haiti, what he observed were trees silhouetted against the sky, cast shadows that were awkward colors, yellows or purples, maybe that don't look natural. That's what he saw, that's what he painted.
It doesn't surprise me that although he was not a particularly devout person, that references to Christian subjects continue to be part of his work throughout his life.
But I think his religion sort of expressed a larger embracing of humanity, and I think he saw that in the art of Rouault.
The only complete body of work that I know of that he did that contains that many paintings. They're all along the wall, going up to the sanctuary, going up to the altar. They're very simple.
He had a very interesting process of using his photographs that he took as a journalist, many of them in Haiti and Europe, as the genesis for his work. He would use the photograph and then use that as the point of departure and create a painting from that.
His photography is never pictorial. I think he was interested in photography, but I don't know that he thought his photography was art. I think he thought it was photography. He did not go to art school, but he had a very early show at a commercial gallery in Brussels when he was about 22, and then to turn away from it for so long, and then to come back to it, and to really find it again as not only sort of his major creative outlet, but as a way that he can, in this strange land of Columbus, Ohio, start making some connections and eventually beginning to show his work in the 1960s and then again in the 1980s.
He wasn't really painting for the art market in Columbus. He didn't really have to. He didn't need to sell his art to succeed. He was painting for his own enrichment, because he needed to paint, because Erica allowed him to paint. And that's the wonderful part of Paul's story.
We were very impressed with the art and, you know, very impressed with his whole the history that we were able to get at that point in time. Of course, there's a whole breadth of history that we had yet to learn about and still didn't know all about. You know, you will see by the volume. Really, other than Rene Steidl, we were the first ones to really give his art exposure in Columbus. And we really sort of brought him to light, I think, among the art collecting population.
Lynn had advertised in a art magazine for the first time, very expensive ad. I subscribed to that magazine and I opened it up and saw this and immediately went down the next day. because I wanted to buy it. I didn't want it to get away from me. And she wasn't open. So I went across the street and had a cup of coffee and watched her shop until somebody finally came and opened the door, and I rushed over and said, I want to buy that.
I mean, he was just, I've got to have that painting.
So I thought that was just a prize, and I didn't want anybody else to have it. I didn't want to share it with anybody.
What do you think? Gotta have that painting. I love it. I love it. You know, that kind of thing.
That's part of art that some people don't understand. How you can, it can move you.